The contents of this box right here is going to make me over $1 million. Okay, so not really, but who knows what could happen. The reason why I'm doing this video is because I'm coming out with a new card game. It's called Drunk Questions. And I want to sort of walk through the exact process of how I plan on taking this game and generating $1 million. Now, in reality, do I think I'm going to make $1 million? Of course not. That's a big number. If I could, that'd be amazing. But I do plan on hopefully being successful with this campaign. And so I figured in the process of making this card game and in the process of trying to organize everything and get the card created and market it, advertise it, sell it, whatever, I figured this is a good opportunity to make sort of a tutorial-esque video. Sort of the reason why I'm making this is because a lot of times I see different entrepreneurs or different business people on YouTube and different social media platforms, and they have these products or these services, and you sort of see them at the end of their success or towards the peak of it, so to speak. And while they do sometimes tell stories about how they went from A to B to C to D, it's almost, I don't know, it always feels like something's missing, like they're leaving out key details that can help you replicate the process. Now, me personally, I dislike the idea of fluff. I dislike the idea of not being objective and specific and to the point. My personal opinion is that if you ever give advice, and this obviously you can't do this 100% of the time, but my belief is that if you give advice, someone should be able to replicate the advice almost step by step and implement it into their own lives. Obviously, there's nuance to it, but that's sort of the general idea, in my opinion. So in this video, I want to share with you my exact step-by-step process that I plan on using to take this card game right here within this box and generate as much money as I possibly can. Will I succeed? Who knows? I could succeed or I could fail miserably, but I think either way, it'll be a good learning lesson by me making this video. If I succeed, then anyone that might be interested in making a card game or maybe making some other kind of business, they can take exactly what I plan on doing and implement it into their own business or their own service or whatever it is that they want to do. And on the other hand, if I fail miserably, that's also a lesson. You can watch this video back and say, okay, I think this, and this that Leviticus is doing is incorrect. I don't think that'll work, but I can do this, and that instead. And that might make a massive difference. So I figure either way, there's a benefit to me making this video. There's some learning that could be involved with this video. So stick with me, and I'm going to tell you my exact step-by-step process that I plan on implementing. Now, I just want to throw this out here. Some things could change. By the time I actually go to implement the strategies that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, things could change. I might look at one of the strategies and say, you know what, this might not work as well as I thought it might. Or something could come up that might force me to pivot or maybe think of this whole idea different. I do want you to keep that in mind as I kind of go through my different steps. All right, so first things first, what is the game and how did I even come to this idea of creating a game? So this game that I have here, this card game, is called Drunk Questions. I don't know if you can see the card, but it's called Drunk Questions. What I have right here is sort of a MVP, as people call it in the business world, a minimum viable product. And basically, it's just to give me a reference of what the game will look like when it hits the market, when it's in stores. Now, to be honest, the whole idea of this game has been sort of bubbling and boiling and spinning around in the atmosphere, in the cosmos, so to speak, for almost a decade. This card game originated in college. Now, I'm not going to go super deep into all the details, but long story short, I used to go to Penn State. And at one year while we were in Penn State, me and a friend of mine, we just wanted to drink a lot. At this point, I wasn't in college. I got kicked out. This is my second time getting kicked out. And we were just it was like days off. We would sit around and drink and just laugh and think about stuff, ponder life. And we were watching YouTube one day, and these guys were just sitting there answering random questions that people submitted while getting drunk. And for whatever reason, it was the funniest thing ever. Me and him thought it was the funniest thing ever. And to this day, I'm sure if I saw it again, it would still be funny. But we sat there and we thought,
this would be a fun game in real life.
Like imagine like some kind of game, like a card game, where we're all sitting around a room just asking each other like super deep philosophical questions while getting drunk. Have you ever tried asking a drunk person a philosophical question? It's hilarious, trust me. So that's kind of the original origin of the game. And at first, it was an idea, but there was no implementation, nothing at all. And a few weeks later, I sat there and thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Let me try to make it into a game. So I bought a few index cards, just like index cards from the dollar store. And I sat there and wrote about like 30 different questions, like just random questions that I came up with. Some of them were from the show. Some of them were just super random things I thought were so absurd or disgusting or weird. And, I figured, hey, next time we hang out, let me bust out the cards and let's try to play. Let's see how it is in real life. So I did exactly that. And the game was a hit. Everyone had fun. Everyone was excited. And at the time, everyone had a good experience, but I still didn't think much of it. I didn't really plan on making this into like an actual game or anything like that. And so fast forward a few years, I would always pull out this game, the index card version of it at least. I would always pull out this game whenever I went to a party. Not every party I went to, obviously, but whenever I thought to bring the card game, I would. And it was always at a party or some event. And whenever the event or party got dull, I'd pull it out. And without fail, everyone loved the game. Everyone. I've literally never had a time where I pulled this game out and we did not have fun. And as the years went on, I would add more to it, add 10 questions here if they came to mind. Then I started adding in scenarios. Then I kind of made some rules to the game, and the game sort of evolved over time. And about 2 or 3 years ago, I was living in an apartment with some roommates, and I'd pull out this card game, at least the index card version. And at this point, the stack is like this big. And we'd play it. And my roommates and just strangers, they would always go,
dude, you need to make this into a real game. People need to buy this game. This is a good game.
And there's one thing when friends say stuff like that, because you feel like they're kind of hyping you up. But when strangers say this, people you've never met up until that event or that party, when they start saying it, that's when I kind of thought, maybe this might be worth pursuing. And the thing that really made me decide to actually go through with this was in the summer of 2022, the summer that just passed as I'm recording this video, I took a trip back up to my college, Penn State. And me and a friend of mine, we got an Airbnb, and we kind of figured the last day, we have to have some kind of party. We have to have some people over because our Airbnb was massive. And other people bailed on the Airbnb, long story short. So it was just two of us in this huge Airbnb. And we figured, we got to invite people over, got to have some fun. And while we're at it, let's play the game, Drunk Questions. Again, it's still in the index card version. At this point, just a huge stack of index cards, handwritten by me completely. So we do that. We find some random people at the bar. We say, hey, we're having like an after party at our place. Here's the address. Come by if you want to. We have beer, we have liquor, whatever. You can stay until it's all gone. And they come through and we play. And we sat there for about 2 or 3 hours and everyone loved the game. Like, it was a hit. Again, and these are strangers. We had just met these people. I didn't know any of these people. We had just met them that night at the bar. And whenever I'd pull out this game, I'd always get the exact same reactions. Usually one of two things happen or both of these things happen. Always without fail. The first thing, people read the cards and they start dying of laughter because a lot of the cards are so random, just so gross or so edgy, or they kind of push the boundaries of, not safe for work or politically correct, that people just get so, I don't know. They just don't I don't think they expect it. So it just throws them off and it makes them laugh. And the second thing people always do, they always ask, who made this game? Literally, every single time people ask, who made this game? And they freak out and they're like, dude, this needs to be a real game. So after years of hearing that, I figured, you know what? Why not? Let's try it out. Let's try to make it into a real game. At worst, no one buys it. No one wants it. Nothing really, at worst, it's an experience. No one buys it. No one cares about it. It's an experience. Not that big of a deal. At best, it actually does become a hit and it actually does, make some money and it could be, a fun project. Who knows? So I figured, why not? So that brings us to today. And I figured, if I'm going to put this out here, I'm going to take all of the different failed and successful business experiences that I've had, try to pack them all together and turn this into a hit card game. So that's where I'm at today. So one thing I want to bring up is sort of the idea, and I'm going to get into more of the business philosophies and the business tactics that I plan on implementing. One thing, the reason why I told that story, part of it is to give you a background. The second part of this is before I wanted to put out the game, In my personal opinion, based on just different experiences I've had, it's a good idea to test if people are actually interested in your product. And I've made this mistake before, and I feel like a lot of people make this mistake when they're trying to start a business. They put out a product or they make a service based on what they think people might desire or what they think people might want. And I think that can work sometimes, but my personal belief is that it's better to figure out what the market wants and simply give it to them. Give them exactly what they want rather than try to guess and check and assume or anything like that. So that's part of the reason why I tried to have people play the game. I wanted to see if it was actually fun. I wanted to see if there's actually any potential market for this game. Step number one of what I really plan on doing, now that I've determined that at least some people are interested and some people think that the game is worth playing, is you need to market. Now, most of the stuff I'm going to talk about is going to come down to marketing. And I think marketing is extremely, extremely difficult, especially nowadays. To me, marketing is simply attention. How do you get attention to whatever it is you're selling? If you have a product, how do you get attention to your product? How do I get attention to my cards? How do I get attention if I'm a real estate agent? How do I get attention to myself so that way I can present myself and sell myself to sell my service? Everything when it comes to marketing, in my opinion, is attention. So the first thing that I'm currently doing is I'm pre-selling through social media. Now, social media is a free platform, as you probably know if you're watching this. To me, it's a good way to figure out if you have any kind of audience. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm planning on doing, what I've been doing, and what I plan to continue doing. First thing, I'm contacting a lot of people, basically warm, so to speak. And when I say warm, these are all people I know. These are people that are Facebook friends, Instagram friends. I'm on different social media platforms like Getter, people that not that I know, but people that follow me. I'm going through all the people that follow me and I'm contacting them. And basically what I'm planning on doing and what I have been doing is I'm saying to them, I'm coming out with this game. I want to get your opinion on something. I want to get your feedback. And by doing this, I feel like it involves the person in the process. I think people like to be a part of the journey. That's my personal belief, at least. Sometimes I watch YouTubers, old like fitness YouTubers, and a lot of people back in the day, they had vlogs. And to me, a big part of what made vlogs so popular is as the viewer, you felt like you were along for the ride. You felt like you're part of the journey. You're part of the process. So then when you have your influencer that you're watching, if you're watching their vlogs, when they finally come up with a product, they'll sit there and say like, what do you prefer? Do you prefer this color or this color? Which do you think is better? Do you think A is better or B? Do you think C is better or D? You are participating in their ultimate decision. So you feel like you have a hand in what's going on. So it almost gives you a sense of camaraderie. And I feel like I'm trying to do the exact same thing with social media. By asking people for their feedback, I want to involve them in the process of creating the game. And to be honest, they are part of the process because like I said, I'm trying to give the people what they want. If people say, oh, the cards aren't that funny. Okay, well, I need to go back and make the cards funny. If people say, oh, there's not enough cards. Okay, maybe I should add more cards. Maybe. Depends on, how profitable it could be, of course. So, like I said, the first thing I'm doing, I'm using social media to almost pre-sell the idea of the cards before I buy anything. This is the only card deck I have. It's the only one I have. This cost me in total about $40 because I had it shipped and I had just one deck shipped. If you buy in bulk, prices go down significantly. This cost me about $20 and then shipping was like $20 because it's just one pack. But if I bought it in bulk, say of like 500 at a time, the price for just one deck would be about $3, about $2 or $3 plus shipping, but it would be a bulk shipment package. So cost-wise, it wouldn't be that bad. So I'm sort of pre-selling through social media. I'm reaching out to people and specifically saying, hey, I want your feedback. And then what I do from that point is I drive them to a landing page. And on this landing page, which they can view through their phone, and I make sure that they can view their phone because a lot of people don't use desktop as much anymore, is basically it's just a free game. It's a sample of the game. It's about 30 questions. They can play it with friends. And this allows them to test the product out. This lets them see, okay, again, they're being involved in the process of creating the card game, but they can also enjoy the benefits of the card game before they even pay any money. I haven't yet received a dime from them yet, not a penny. So they get to enjoy the actual game. And the other reason why I do that, and this is the hope, is that if the game is fun enough, people will share the game ahead of time with friends, with family, whoever they want to play with, they'll share it. So this drums up publicity. This drums up attention. Again, marketing is attention. So this drums up attention to the game. And hopefully what they do is they also share that link to their friends or whoever it is that they want to share the game with. Now, one thing a lot of people don't do, and I try my best to always make sure I implement this and that this is always available. A lot of people don't get emails. They don't get contact information. The reason why I think this is a big mistake is because with an email address, you can always follow up with people. When I was in real estate, you kind of learn that most people aren't going to just, even if someone wants to buy a house or sell their house, they're not going to work with you on the first outreach because you have competition. There's plenty of people reaching out to them. It's a big decision. There's a lot for them to think about. There's a lot of preparation involved. So a lot of people aren't just going to sit there and say, hey, you know what? This guy, Leviticus, is reaching out to me. You know what? I'll buy today. I'll come into the office. I'll sit down with him and I'll sign an agreement with him and we can start the process today. That doesn't happen typically. Usually it requires at least about 7 to 10 follow-ups before people even consider buying from you, especially with real estate. And I think that same idea applies across any industry. So I think an email list is extremely powerful. Even an SMS list, but I think an email list is a bit better because it's a lot less intrusive in my opinion. So I make sure when I send people to that landing page, I make sure to get their email because with the email, I can follow up with them. I can send them information about the whole process and the journey. I can tell people, hey, the campaign, the Kickstarter campaign, which I'll get to in a second, has just launched. If you want to help donate to the campaign, or if you know someone who might, here's a link. Or you can tell funny stories. This is one of the things that happened while we were playing this game and kind of get them, again, involved in the process. Keep the idea of the card game top of mind. So that's one thing I want to emphasize. I'm driving them to a landing page. They get to test the product out for free, the card game in this instance. And I'm also collecting their emails for the sake of following up with them and keeping them updated and staying top of mind. Now, this is one of the main things I'm doing. And I've debated doing this, but I think it's a good idea. What I'm doing, before I even buy any new card decks to send out, I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign. Now, if you're watching this and you're not familiar with Kickstarter, basically Kickstarter allows you to raise money for a project that you're working on. In this instance, I'm raising money for a card game. And the amount that I'm trying to raise is $5,000. Now, $5,000 is sort of an overestimation because the reality is that I've never made a card game in my entire life. I've never sold a card game. I have no idea what the nuances of manufacturing a card game at a massive level could be. But I made the price $5,000 because I think it's high enough where it'll sort of cover my ass in case I make mistakes. But it's low enough where it's not super extreme and super out of the ordinary, and so it doesn't seem greedy. Because in reality, I plan on using basically all of that money to invest into this card game. So of course, the more people donate, the better. One of the main reasons why I'm doing Kickstarter over anything else, and again, this is another lesson I've learned over the years, it's good to sell to get money in before you put money out. When I was younger and first trying to start businesses, you almost get a little bit egotistical when it comes to actually starting a business. And it's funny because I actually just had a conversation with a friend of mine. He's trying to start a business and me and him were talking and he says, I'm trying to sell these shoes and these t-shirts. And he goes, where should I go to start an LLC? And my thing was, why would you start an LLC first? And he goes, well, I want to be legal. I want to start the company. And to me, my idea of a company is just, are you making money by doing A, B, and C? That's really it. Because you see a lot of people have companies, they have LLCs, they have S Corps, whatever. And they're not making money or they're not profitable. Maybe they have revenue, but they're not profitable. And I'm not going to get too deep into the nuances of that. But my personal belief is that it's best to get money in before you put money out. And I've made that mistake countless times where I got egotistical. I figured, I have an LLC, therefore I have a business. Oh, that's awesome. It's exciting. And then you start spending money on stuff that doesn't matter, like the logo and websites and just all kinds of stuff, automations for emails and just a bunch of things that don't really matter. They do matter in the long run, but they don't matter until you've actually made money. So what I plan on doing, And I think one of the key things to think about, again, is will the product sell? Earlier, I mentioned that I'm trying to pre-sell the idea of the card game by having people play it. And while I do think that there's some value in people saying that they will play it, and I think there's value in people actually playing it, there's another issue that I found that arises when you try to start a business. And the issue that arises is that you'll often be people that will say that they'll buy something and they seem interested in buying something, but they won't actually buy anything, which doesn't do you any good. It doesn't give you any advantage if people don't buy. So the reason why I'm doing the Kickstarter is because it allows me to raise money ahead of time. Basically, I'm getting sales ahead of time and using their sales to fulfill. Does that make sense at all? And I think that strategy applies for pretty much any basic business you can think of. If you can get money in and then use their money to fulfill and give them what they want, that's much better than you using your own money to buy products ahead of time only to have people not buy it and then you're left with inventory. So hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully that explains why I'm doing the Kickstarter. Now, as I'm doing the Kickstarter, and part of the reason why I'm making this video is I want to be super transparent about where the money is going. I find that a lot of businesses, especially nowadays when you have these influencers and these different brands, they just rob people. They just take their money. And I get that it's a business. It needs to be profitable. You know, obviously 100% can't go back to the consumer because then it's not a real business. It won't be alive for long. But I do like the idea of being authentic and transparent with how you're spending money. I don't want to get too deep into this. I've talked about this in a different video years ago. But I think in the future, a big part of business is going to be transparency. I think in the modern day, people kind of feel as though businesses are shady. They don't know if they can trust businesses or brands for a good reason, of course. And I think the people that are willing to be a bit more transparent, the people that are willing to put out different statements like, hey, I spent this much. This is where this money's going to. I'm taking this much. I'm giving away this much. This much is going to charity for real, like a real charity. This much is being spent here. This much is going to marketing, A, B, and C, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think the businesses and the brands that are more willing to do that are the ones that are going to succeed. And so for that reason, I am going to do my absolute best to be as transparent as possible. And I say that because I'm probably going to forget to list some things that I want to list or be transparent about. But that's probably just going to be me being hyper focused on making this work. So that's also why I'm making this video and why I plan on doing the Kickstarter. Now, incentive. Like I said, my goal is to raise $5,000 for the Kickstarter campaign. But I've already mentioned that for me to buy a deck of cards in bulk, it's going to cost me like $3. So you might be thinking, okay, it costs $3 to make the cards, and maybe it costs, let's say, anywhere from $5 to, let's go on the highest end, $20 to ship it. So let's just say $25 for a deck of cards. Where's the $5,000 come into play? Or how are you going to raise $5,000? What if everyone just pays you like $10 or $15 or whatever? My plan is to offer good incentives to people to get them to donate more money to the Kickstarter campaign. And if you check out the Kickstarter campaign, which it'll be in a link in the description, if you check out the Kickstarter campaign, I think at the time of recording, I just have 3 tiers because I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really know what good bonuses you can give for a card game. I think at the highest, it's like $50. And I think you get the card game, a custom box, I think extra cards, and I plan on sending a customized video, like a personalized video to everybody that donates. And it's a genuine, sincere, it'll be a genuine, sincere video just saying thank you. And, you know, if I'm going to be honest, I'll probably keep reaching out and saying thank you and keeping them updated and probably giving them other free stuff too. But that's a secret. That's not on the campaign page, but that is a plan I have because that is a lot of money and I would appreciate that a lot. That definitely helps me meet the goal. But yeah, the bonuses are just incentives to get people to donate more than they ordinarily would give by simply buying the game. Hopefully that makes sense. So I think that's a big benefit. And I think that's a good way to get people to invest in the campaign. I think in a certain way, it'll make people believe that they're contributing a good amount. And it's not like they're giving something for nothing. Basically, every tier, you're going to get something. And every tier is affordable. At the lowest tier, you're still going to get cards. So you're basically just buying the deck, at a slightly higher rate. And then as you go up, you're getting more stuff. So, but yeah, I think incentives and bonuses ahead of time are always great, especially for early offers. As I mentioned earlier, I think it's good to pre-sell things. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's trying to sell a course. And I told him, my belief with the course is that before you start shooting the actual videos, before you even try to plan an outline or anything major or super time consuming, I think the best strategy would be to kind of sit there and just market the idea of the course. Like whatever it is, the core. I don't want to say too much about his course because he hasn't done anything with it yet. But whatever the idea of the course is, whatever that sort of UVP, that unique value proposition is, I would market that, tell people the benefits of what the course will give them, and then try to get money ahead of time. I've already mentioned this, but I kind of want to reiterate this because I think that's a major idea that took me a long time to kind of understand and learn, but I think it's highly valuable. So for him, for the course, sell the idea of the course, try to get money, and then once people give you some money, then you can go ahead and make the course. And the reason why I bring that up is I want to tie it back to the idea of the bonuses on the Kickstarter campaign. And what I said to him was, if you pre-sell the course, sell it at a lower price than you intend to sell it for when it actually launches, and give people bonuses. And I had a friend that actually just did that. I suggested that to her as well. She has her own course and she has coaching that she does. Suggested the exact same thing. Give them free coaching, but sell the course at even a discount if you have to, just to start off, just to get some momentum. She did it, worked wonders. So that's kind of the plan with the bonuses on the Kickstarter page with this deck of cards. Now, the next thing I plan on doing, and I haven't really put this into practice yet, but I do plan on doing this, is I want to put in videos in my marketing. I want to put in videos in my emails. I want to put videos on the Kickstarter page, and I plan on putting videos on the landing page. And the videos are going to just be sort of clips, not actors, real footage of real people playing the game and seeing their reaction to show that they're having fun. This, I think, will be pretty easy because, like I've said, everyone that's played the game has had fun. I have not had a single time when someone has played the game and not had fun. Not a single time. So that's actually going to be easy. The whole difficult part is actually just kind of me remembering to pull out a camera and record. And I do plan on organizing it where I get people together, let them know that I'm going to record them so I'm not invading on their privacy, or it doesn't feel weird or awkward. And then, just having them play the game. And the reason why I wanted to use video, and real video, again, not actors, is because I think one of the best techniques for marketing is demonstration. I don't know, depending on how old you are, if you're watching this, there used to be, I think his name was Billy Mays. Billy Mays used to have this product called, I don't know I don't think he was the inventor of it or the owner of it, but he was the salesperson, at least in the commercials. He had this product called like OxyClean, and it was just like this powder or this like spray, and it was supposed to be super strong cleaner. And no matter what you sprayed this on, it would always be able to clean up that surface. So for example, if you had a very greasy pan, you put OxyClean in it, and it would just make the grease like lift off the pan. The pan would look brand new. You put OxyClean in like your laundry, you get some white clothes with like armpit stains or, coffee stains or whatever. You put the OxyClean in the washing machine, it comes out, looks brand new, completely white, looks completely fresh, looks perfect. And one of the most powerful things I think he did is he would always just show what he would just show the process. He would just sit there and say, hey, I got this OxyClean. Look at this. I got this dingy white shirt. I put it in, boom, it's clean again. To me, that was the coolest thing. So I think demonstration is powerful when it comes to marketing. And that's why I plan on doing the videos. I want to show people that the game is fun. I think the videos add a degree of social proof too. If other people are playing it and they're showing that the game's fun, then it helps people make a better decision and determine if it'll be fun for themselves. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, the next part, and I've already kind of done this, but at the time when I made my outline, it wasn't done yet, was find a manufacturer for the cards. Now, my plan was literally to go to Alibaba and look up different card manufacturers, contact them, see who had the best prices, see who had the best quality, and see who could ship in the fastest amount of time. But since then, I found this Australian company, and that's actually where I got this sample deck from. And I actually like that company the best so far. So for now, I plan on using them. But the reason why I kind of wanted to search them out ahead of time before really launching the campaign and before really getting deep into the marketing is because I wanted to already have an idea of how I was going to fulfill. And I'm still thinking about the fulfillment right now as we speak. But one of the main reasons why I picked this company, and just so you know, it's makeplayingcards.com, something like that. Again, full transparency. The reason why I wanted to use them, and the reason why I'm choosing them right now, is because they offer a print-on-demand service. And I'm still testing out exactly how that's going to look and how that's going to work. But as I've mentioned earlier, I don't like the idea of holding on to inventory. I think one of the worst things in general a lot of businesses can do is have inventory unnecessarily. Now, if you're a company that's been in business for a while, and let's say you can make relatively accurate projections of how much you'll sell in a given day or a given week or a given month, then I think inventory is a bit different because you kind of know if I get X amount of inventory, I'll sell X amount, and you can sort of adjust how much you get based on what you think you'll sell. But for me, because I'm starting out and because this is a brand new endeavor, I don't want to have inventory because one of the worst fears I have with this is buying 500 decks of cards only to have no one buy them. And then I'm holding on to 500 decks of cards in my room that I can't do much with. So for that reason, I'm choosing the manufacturer that I'm using right now because they have a print-on-demand service. And my plan for that is whenever someone orders it, and this is me thinking kind of down the line as well, whenever anyone orders, say from a website or whatever, they can just print out the cards and ship it out to them themselves. Now, the only thing that could come up is that it might be more expensive to do it that way. So far, from what I'm seeing and from what I've kind of heard, that's not the case. It's like $1 extra to manufacture the cards and they ship it out themselves. And, that's not too bad. But I think that $1 extra cost is certainly worthwhile if it means a lot less hassle and a lot less stress and a lot less, kind of worrying about fulfillment. I've had issues. I used to have a drop shipping company. I used to have a fitness pro store. It was a drop shipping company. And that was a big issue, just fulfillment and making sure that everything kind of got to where it needed to go. That's one of the reasons why I'm using this company. Now, again, this is one of those things that might change. Maybe after shooting this video, maybe something comes up. Maybe I learned something new, or maybe some new idea comes into play. Or maybe one of you guys leave a comment with a better suggestion and I end up changing things up and I end up, not using that company. But for now, I'm using that company, and that's the reason why, because they offer a print-on-demand service, and they're relatively inexpensive to manufacture a deck of cards. I have seen cheaper, but that print-on-demand service to me is super valuable just for the sake of saving time and saving effort. So I see that as an invaluable feature of this company. So the next thing that I plan on doing, and I'm still working on this a little bit, but I've already kind of figured out most of the math. I've kind of explained this a little bit earlier, is basically get down the price of shipping, manufacturing, and how much I plan on charging so I can think long-term about revenue and profit. Like I said, for the Kickstarter campaign, basically all of it I plan on using to market in some way, shape, or form. I can't imagine what I would use the remainder for. I'm a big fan of growing something. If I'm not gonna go hard on it, I don't really see the point, So some things that come up in my mind, if I do have extra, would be Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, things of that nature. Probably paying influencers. But one of the main things I'm kind of thinking about right now, and again, I've already kind of worked through it, it's just how much everything's going to cost. Like I said, the deck itself is about $3 if I ship it in bulk. So if I ship about 500 or more, it's going to be about $3 per box. If I can recall correctly, less than that, the price goes up per box. So ideally, I want to be shipping out at least 500 or close to that at a time. That would be the ideal. Will it happen? Who knows? And as far as shipping and manufacturing, or as far as shipping, it's not too expensive overall. So that's sort of where I'm at with the shipping and manufacturing costs. Now, another thing that I plan on using the Kickstarter money for is after that process of the campaign ending on Kickstarter and after I've received the final amount, let's assume I've hit the goal or come close to it at least, come close to the 5,000. I plan on actually purchasing some decks for myself and not for me to use, with friends or family, whatever. I plan on shipping out decks to influencers that I think would be helpful when it comes to marketing. And basically what I plan on doing is just getting a few of these decks, finding different people with relatively good followings, relatively big audiences. Nothing insane. It doesn't need to be like 100K or anything like that, but like a few thousand, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever. Sending that out to them and kind of, making an agreement saying, hey, look, I came out with this new card game. I would love to, have someone advertise. I'll send you a free box on the house. And I'll probably throw in some bonuses too. Could you just, do a review, an honest review, make a video, play the game with friends? Anything like that would be a huge benefit. Personally, I think that has a high ROI. Let's say, for example, I buy one deck and the deck cost me, let's just say higher end, $50. And let's say I'm selling each deck retail for like $15, 1.5. I pay $50. I give it to an influencer. Maybe they alert, maybe 5 people from them buy, only 5 people. That's $60. At least I've profited in that instance $10. Now, it's not a ton, but it's still a profit. And I think that's still a good ROI because then those 5 people, if they have fun, they can share it with their friends and then the chain continues. That is the hope, at least. That is sort of the theory. Now, in practice, will it happen that way? Who knows? People might get the game. They might think it's fun. They might forget to share it. They might not think about it. They might not record it. Once you get to that point, it's out of your hands. It's out of your control. But that's sort of the theory. And that's sort of the reason why I think shipping cards or shipping any product for that matter to influencers is pretty high ROI. I think it just increases the chance that it gets to more eyeballs. So it'll lower your overall marketing expenses. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, the final thing that I want to bring up, what if the Kickstarter campaign fails? My thought process as of now is that if the Kickstarter campaign fails completely, then that's it. The card game doesn't get made. I don't sell it. I don't market it. And that's the end of its journey. And I think that's okay. Like I mentioned, the whole point of the Kickstarter is just to see who's willing to actually pay for the game and use their money to fulfill and to market further. But if people don't pay for it, then there's not much you can do. I don't think I feel super comfortable putting in a lot of my own money to kind of get the game up and going, just because if in that initial stage, if people don't seem interested, then I think I'd have an uphill battle trying to convince them. And I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze, so to speak. Now, on the other hand, let's say it does work out well. And let's say a lot of people are interested and a lot of people do donate to the campaign. In that instance, I plan on using all the money and reinvesting it and trying to get it into, I already mentioned I'd get it to influencers. I'd probably run Facebook ads. I've mentioned that already. I would also try to get it into retail stores because I think there's still a good market for brick and mortar. I still think brick and mortar is very valuable. And I do think people like the shopping experience. I do like, me personally, I still love to go into stores. I don't like shopping online that much, to be honest. I do think there's a lot of value into trying to get the game into stores like Walmart, Target, local like comic book stores, any store like that would be a good fit for the card game. I think that's still high value. So that would be sort of the last thing I'd plan on doing with the Kickstarter money. So you're here and you sat through the entire video. If you did, I'm super stoked. I want to say thank you for sitting through this. I'm not going to lie. When I first outlined this video, in my head, I was thinking it'd be about 20 minutes. And then I forgot that I tend to talk a lot. So I'm sure the video is going to end up being a lot longer than I anticipated. It's probably going to be about 30, 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. If you did sit through the entire video, I appreciate that. You are an absolute trooper. But if you are here, that means you're at least somewhat interested in the card game. And if you are, I would love if you would try out the game and let me know what you think about it. So there's 2 links in the description. 2 links. First link will take you to the Kickstarter campaign itself. If you want to donate, if you want to contribute, any amount helps. Any amount helps. If you want to donate or contribute, you can do that in the link below at the campaign. My goal is to raise $5,000 by, I want to say, the beginning of by the beginning of March. So if you can help make that happen, that would be fantastic. The second link in the description will take you to the digital version of the game. Currently, there's about 35 cards in the online version of the game as I make this video. The actual card game itself is going to have 55 cards, so it's a little bit less than the actual game, but I still think it'll offer a fun experience. The people that have played it so far have all said it's been fun, so I think you'll have fun as well. And that's, like I said, the second link will have the card game, the first link will have the Kickstarter campaign. So feel free to click both. Feel free to click just one. I hope you do play the game, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think about it. I'd love to hear back from you so I can always tweak the game if I have to, or sort of take things into consideration. But once again, I appreciate you watching the entire video. You are an absolute trooper. I love you. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace out.